Saurabh, it's been a year, my friend.
Yes, it has.
So we spoke within the year, but it's been a year since you were here at DCAC with your first podcast with Kirkofel, which was unique, I'm sure. He's a interesting fella. So now you've got me this year. So
You're an interesting fellow.
well,
too.
you know,
in the best of ways.
I have less hair. So he has the guy has a great head of hair. He really does. So so what's been going on? So DOXEL, wonderful tech-driven organization. I'm hugely bullish on technology in this space. What's been going on since last time you were here at DCAC in the podcast?
Perfect. So we're still using AI to deliver data centers faster. And in the last year since we met, 8 of the top 10 data center developers are now customers of ours, 2 of the big 4 hyperscalers. And we're now looking to apply data and information that we're gathering during the construction phase to the planning and the design phase as well. So as you know, we use cameras and computer vision to monitor construction and provide real-time recommendations that speed up delivery. What we're now doing is applying that data to the planning and the design phase so that you can speed up delivery of future projects before a spade even hits the ground, you know, in that continuous improvement kind of context. But I don't know, maybe you meant what's going on with me personally. And that's been great too.
Well, we're going to go there, but
yeah.
Take me to a quick use case on that.
Yeah, sure. So I like to talk about stories and real examples,
absolutely,
if that makes sense. So there's this huge labor shortage that's, rampant in the industry right now. And we had a customer who was able to avert a 3-week delay because our software was monitoring the site with cameras and informed them that insulation wouldn't get done on time because they weren't moving fast enough. Our software was tracking the production curve and figured that out. And these guys were able to use that data and double the crew size literally the next week. And they averted that 3-week delay. Now, I want to zoom out and put that in context for a second, all right? This was in Phoenix, Arizona, which is one of the toughest labor markets right now. And the foreman had other jobs from his company asking for that same labor. But while the other jobs were complaining, this guy had data and said, I need to double the crew size or we're going to miss substantial completion by 3 weeks. So they got it and the others didn't, and they averted that 3-week delay. So that's one example. There are other examples that are related to rework and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's exciting to create real world value.
That's incredible. And so we're going to go deeper and wider into all of that. But how are you doing?
I'm doing great. The last time I was here, Kirk actually asked me, "Do I drink?" And I was on a drinking hiatus for 60 days.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I don't drink a lot, but I do enjoy a drink from time to time. So personally, I'm gonna have a drink with some of the great folks here. All of our customers are here. I'm gonna enjoy a drink with them. Outside of that, life is keeping me busy. The wife is happy, so I'm happy. And the company is doing great. So awesome. I think I'm the luckiest man in the world.
And you're still on the West Coast?
I'm still on the West Coast.
Loving it?
Loving it, but I don't know if I'm on the West Coast or I'm at 30,000 feet because I'm on planes all the time.
That's right.
This is the 12th city I'm visiting this month.
Wow.
So
are you international travel also, or is it just U.S.?
Well, our business is now moving to being an international business. So a lot of our team is out in various parts of Europe, South America. I'm not traveling as much to Europe or South America, although I did do a few trips. I was at DCD London last week, I think. I don't know when it was. But yeah, traveling quite a bit.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the fact that you're
Hey, hang on. Well, what's happened with you in the last year, personally?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot has changed. A lot's changed at Overwatch.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate enough to grow our business 2x, a little bit more than 2x.
Phenomenal. Wow.
Yeah. So I've been here about a year and a half, and so thank you, and hard work. We've got a lot of dedicated folks. We continue to serve our purpose, which is trying to bring as many veterans as we can military veterans into our space. To support and bridge the gap for the labor shortage.
That's amazing.
So not only are they great, reliable employees, there's a significant amount of inventory, 18 million transition veterans are actually sitting on the bench right now that can be brought into our industry at any given time.
And I just want to say to that, like we have several veterans on our team as well, and I haven't met anyone who can operate with that level of rigor and precision than veterans. So it's pretty exciting.
They are provided built-in leadership that very difficult to find in the traditional school and academia, that they really come out.
Wow,
and,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So we're doing really good at Overwatch. We're continuing to expand and grow, and we're looking at different lines of business, but we're still dedicated to solving the labor shortage issue that we have in our industry. And so I love this conversation because you have the ability to take technology, software, and improve the condition of the overall each stage of the build strategy and compress that time to market, so it creates the opportunity to alleviate that, as you in your use case, the labor shortage. So I love that story. But let's go back to the fact that it's an interesting industry for the both of us. I'm not from this space. I went into high tech, military, then high tech, and then fintech, and now I'm in data centers. And fintech similarly, in the sense that you're dealing with financial institutions, it's highly regulated. You get a lot of no's, even though we're a middleware and we solved for a lot of the solutions that would create tons of revenue. But you still get some traditionalists within that sector that would just say no for no reason.
Yeah.
I have to guarantee you're facing those challenges in this space just because it's a loyalty industry, either whatever software they use for scheduling or for management, whatever they're utilizing, it's almost like it's not broken, let's not fix it. Type approach. So how do you guys overcome that in the industry? What's your strategy to support that and then continue to not get frustrated with the no's that you hear, because you know for a fact your technology can increase and improve the condition of everyone in this space?
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for the question. I think, first of all, just zooming out, the data center industry, obviously, as you very well know, is just seeing unprecedented demand. This year alone, this fiscal, the 4 cloud hyperscalers are pumping in $229 billion, which is 60% growth year over year. I want to contextualize that because sometimes we hear these numbers and we don't actually digest what that means. The only other time that the United States has had this level of industrialization is during World War II. So we are in a very, very special moment in time, which hasn't happened in generations. And necessity is the mother of innovation. So there's this huge demand. How do you go capture that demand? The only way you can go capture it is if you get out of the cash negative phase, which is construction, and you get to the operations phase, which is revenue, as quickly as you possibly can. And that's important for 2 reasons. One, the cost of borrowing is very high, 5, 6, 7% right now. So you want to get out of that cash negative phase as quickly as you can. But second, you don't want to lose market share to new entrants. I mean, if you look at the big developers out there, they are facing the largest demand shock that has been felt in generations. And that's going to create opportunities for new entrants to come in, and they have to defend themselves. So how do you defend? You get faster. You deliver faster. You get out of being cash negative as quickly as you can, and you get to being cash positive. Just to nail home why that's so important, there's a major cloud provider, I won't name who it is, whose stock is up 55% over the last year. They had their worst day in decades, almost exactly 1 year from today, when their stock fell 13% in a single day, because they said they're not able to build data centers fast enough to meet the demand. And they're now doing it, and Wall Street is rewarding them. They're being called the top stock or one of the best stocks in the S&P 500. That's happening because they're able to grab that AI demand on the cloud, and they're able to monetize it. So if that doesn't matter, I don't know what does.
Right.
So that's what we see from our customers, where they're embracing new technologies like ours more and more to figure out how to deliver faster. And you only deliver faster by measuring what's working and what's not, and continuously improving with data. that's where we come in.
Right.
And as you can tell, I kind of care about this stuff.
Right. And they cannot hand-to-hand combat this thing because they don't have the labor to support it.
That's right.
So they can't grow because they're just going to put more crews. They can't grow because, candidly, because, there's other resources that there's constraints. But automation through technology clearly gives them this bridge, if not a full-term solution, to accomplish what they need to accomplish. And that's exactly what DOXEL does. I mean, the minute I heard about you guys, I was so intrigued. But like yourself, I would have great conversations, but then I would kind of get pushed away. And I think now, out of necessity, they're going to be required to have to listen to guys like us, because they do have to shorten that or compress that cycle so they can be in the operation mode.
100%. And when you look at kind of any pushback you get, fundamentally pushback comes when you're trying to slip into someone's workflow without embracing the language or the manner in which they communicate. So if you zoom out for a second, think about what we do. We automate progress tracking for construction, and we apply that data backwards to planning and design. That's hearts and lung stuff. Right. Schedule decisions are made based on that. Budget decisions are made based on that. And portfolio decisions are made based on that. And even till today, progress tracking is entirely manual. As you mentioned, there's a shortage in labor, even in supervisory labor. So the progress report you get from person A might be different than person B.
Right.
And it's so critical. It's hearts and lung stuff. And even then, it's not automated. It's not objective.
Right.
And that's really the problem that we solve. And we solve it in a manner that delivers data in the manner the field is used to consuming it, which is visual, and where finance folks are used to consuming it, which is charts and graphs and that kind of thing. Right. And being able to provide that data in the language that's most native to folks allows you to get that adoption. And that's why 8 of the top 10 are using us now, and 2 of the big 4 hyperscalers too.
Right.
And we're seeing that grow.
So what's really interesting is, and I may be off base here, but I'm just making some assumptions. Similar to the automation and manufacturing, VR is becoming a very proven solution for less than or folks that aren't trained to the level to support or fix, and they're using virtual reality to guide their hands to make decisions. I would almost think, similarly, we still want probably skilled individuals monitoring that you're suggesting. However, they don't have to have 20 or 30 years of experience to be able to walk around with your technology, to be able to have the technology automate, upload, create the opportunities and analyze the information, and then create the opportunities for improvement. You don't necessarily need now a skilled laborer or a skilled construction management individual to do that, do you?
Yeah, I mean, the way our software works is someone puts on a camera on their hard hat. It's very, very low touch, low friction. It can be an untrained person, and they walk around the site, and then what comes out of that are these visual reports that the field uses to mitigate rework, mitigate trade stacking, plan their labor, and that the folks in the office use to plan future projects better. And to your point, we're very quickly getting to a point where robotics is going to completely replace that. And you're going to have maybe a Tesla humanoid robot that's just walking the site, capturing this kind of data, and then an analytics tool like us using that data to provide insights on, hey, you're behind in zone 5, you need to double crew size on this. Or there's a rework event that's going to happen here unless you get this, 1-foot piece of pipe installed. Mm-hmm. Or for the folks in the office, hey, you install much faster when you use Vitalik connections instead of welded connections. Right. By the way, all of these are real examples. I'm not making these up. I'm happy to jump more into that. But fundamentally, it takes sort of that dependence on the experienced person out of the equation.
Got it. In addition to, it helps with my strategy of taking a veteran who may be a practitioner in the trades, in the Navy, but they don't have data center practitioner experience. Hmm. We throw a helmet on that person, and they are through just knowledge and time spent learning, but they didn't know anything. So they're learning, they're getting practitioner experience, they're seeing what the technology is providing, they're experiencing what they should learn, and that helps me allow them to now start to move them in a much quicker manner, opposed to having to get them on a like a assistant or some type of APM type role. They can go right into a PM role.
That's right. That's right. And not only that, it's allowing them to focus more on making decisions that move the project forward, rather than spending all this time in a cumbersome manner putting together progress reports.
Right.
Like ductwork is, 23% complete, pipe is 46% complete. They can focus now on walking the site, and the data just comes out, and then they can focus on making decisions. Hey, why are we behind in zone 5? How do we speed back up?
Right.
That kind of thing. So
it's interesting because sensing and detection is the key to every industry. And my question is, why would a GC or an owner not want the job site monitored real time, 24/7, or however often that person walks around? Why would they not want that? Not only is it providing, obviously, real time information, but it's making clear decisions for them that, candidly, someone may miss or make an error, a human error on that. Why would they not want to do that? Is it job security? When I was at the on the SaaS side and I was on the AR side, our biggest problem was that we were faced with having to tell 40 to 60-year-old AP and AR managers they no longer have a job. And so if you're looking at companies like Siemens, very large organizations, you're looking at multi-positional replacement with technology. And so decision makers would push off on that decision so they would hit retirement. Which is incredible that we're talking about the human side of it and not all of these companies have one responsibility: shareholder wealth. We're all humans. We love the people that we work with, but at the end of the day, you have a responsibility, CEO, to your investors. Why wouldn't they use this technology?
I can tell you the biggest kind of concern that folks tend to have when they think about a technology like ours that provides an automated report on where you're at on schedule, or automated recommendations on how you can speed up. So the big question we get sometimes is, hey, is it like Big Brother? Is it like someone's watching over my shoulder or something like that? And it actually can be if that software is delivered in the wrong manner. So let me give you a quick example of that, right? The field is visual. Finance folks depend on charts and graphs, right? Both are important. Both are part of the same team that are trying to get out of the cash negative phase as quickly as possible and get to the cash positive phase. But if you deliver just charts and graphs, the folks in the field will say, I don't know what that data is based off of. It's saying that, I'm delayed, or even if I'm ahead, and I don't know what that delay is based off of, or what that compression is based off of. And if you deliver it visually, the field needs these kind of color-coded blueprints. Right. That's how they communicate. They want to know down to the component level. If you do just that, you'll get the field on board where they'll be like, oh yeah, I need that 1-foot piece of pipe in wall to be installed before the drywaller comes in the next Monday, or I'm going to have a 2-week delay. By the way, that's a true story too. We averted that delay.
Right.
But then you won't get the folks in finance and who are at the head office to truly understand the value of what this data can do. And I'm really, really proud of the fact that DOXEL is uniquely positioned because we've got both the visual data where we provide these color-coded reports and a visual experience to the folks in the field. And using that same data, our software provides production curves, delayed, ahead, all of these reports on schedule for the folks who are at the office. So what that does is it creates this beautiful experience where everyone is on the same page, where that data is being used for future projects, for planning as well, and it's being used to speed up this very project. Right. And it's all about delivering data to people in the manner they're used to consuming it and not forcing your view of the world on them.
Right.
And that's how it's not Big Brother.
Right.
So that's the top thing that people think about. And that's why in the industry, we're seeing people adopt our technology so much, because unlike this thought of it being Big Brother, actually, I want to tell you a quick story on this. I had a superintendent tell me, your software saves lives. And I said, that's an exaggeration. And he said, no, I'm dead serious. There's a major mental health issue in this industry. We have some of the highest suicide rates. And the reason why your software matters is because it delivers this data to me in a visual manner, and it takes kind of the Mary Povich show out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's my fault, it's your fault. It takes the politics out of it.
Right.
It cuts the stress out. So they don't see it as Big Brother. They see it rather as an enabler, which makes their job less stressful. And that's the key thing.
So we can nerd out on this because
Sure we can.
Predictive analytics has been my jam forever. And my gosh, we could talk about incorporating predictive analytics into your camera at the same time and actually can predict certain events that could or will happen. Not only are you behind schedule, we'll talk about that on the side.
We do that. Yeah.
But what's really interesting is, I have always worked with sales organizations to, if you're selling rubber gloves, if you're selling high tech, how do you create the sell-through that not only solves for what your customer requires and helps them in their business condition? The home run is, how do you take that and improve their ability to get the next job? So I'm going to tell you, you probably have a huge opportunity, and this is for everyone watching here, that is responsible for getting the next GC data center deal on the sales side. Not the folks that are operating and functionally the soups and all the folks that do all of the work, but the sales or the business development side. Having your tech as a proven solution could win another deal for them. Talk to me about that.
It's funny you mentioned that. So I talked about tracking construction data and then applying it to the planning and design phase. So I'll share a quick example. DPR Construction, one of our customers, phenomenal general contractor, one of the most rigorous I've had the privilege of working with, incredibly forward-thinking. DPR actually used our data and won a job and bid on a job with extreme confidence because our data showed them that they were installing, I think, about 2.5, 3 weeks faster. And this bid where the owner wanted a general contractor that could hit that schedule, they bid on that with confidence. And they said, hey, we can hit this. And here's the data to support it. And they showed them our data and they said, we have a track record of hitting based on this timeline. And we'll track it for you. And they won that job against all the other general contractors. So that's a phenomenal example of a general contractor literally deploying our data to win jobs. And then on the flip side, sometimes you don't want to bid on a job. Sometimes your internal expertise, experience as a general contractor is such that you don't want to bid on that, right? You don't want to lose on liquidated damages and that kind of thing. And we're in a pretty tight gross margin industry. We have margin erosion, and then sometimes only 50% of the gross margin falls to our operating margin, right? So sometimes you want to say no to those bids. You want to say no because it's impossible, at least for you, and you want to bow out of the way. So general contractors are beginning to deploy our data to take a look at trends, right? Like, for example, I get chilled water pipes done 6 weeks faster if I install Vitolic with Vitolic connections versus welded connections. So you know what? I can commit to 6 weeks faster if we're using Vitolic. Or on the flip side, that's crazy. I don't want to commit to that. And what that really does is it allows you to completely annihilate the value at risk in making a bid and the uncertainty that exists in actually getting the job built, right? It allows you to win jobs that you know you can win based on historical data that you know you can deliver on. And it allows you to say no to risks that might be tempting, but that data shows you shouldn't take. And that allows you to completely boost your margins. So we're seeing general contractors do that, really, really intensely with our data and with our software. And in fact, that's what I'm the most excited about when I look forward in the future for the next 2 to 3 years for DOXEL, because we've collected so much data now that we're able to provide those insights.
It really is interesting. So if you looked at your customer base based upon that, would you say you have more GCs or more owner-operator or hyperscalers as customers?
Yeah, I would say in terms of customer count, it's probably 50-50. But remember, our owner customers, the general contractors on those projects use our software, and they love using our software. So at this point in time, the large majority of the ENR top 100 are already familiar with our software. They've used our software. We're at a point now where in certain sectors, we're being baked into bids where general contractors are calling us and, they want to embrace us. So we're very quickly becoming a standard. And that's again, because we provide data in a manner that the field loves, that saves lives, which, I don't even know if I can accept that, but,
Right.
I'll take it. I'm
Right.
grateful for that. And because we provide data to the office that helps them design and plan better for future projects. So it's a win all around.
Interesting. Do you see an opportunity, and this doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does, where a GC is being removed and replaced with another GC? Is this also a use case for an opportunity for the new GC to come in and do a full analysis of what's been completed by using the technology, coming back to say, hey, this is worse than what they were telling you, opposed to using subject matter experts or human intelligence and using your technology?
Yeah, so we that definitely is a use case. I will say I'm happy that we've not seen that happen too often just for the industry. And I also think we're in such great boom times that owners and general contractors are kind of on the same side where they got to work together and figure out how to capture that demand. So thankfully, we're not seeing too much of that, especially not in the data center industry.
Yeah.
But yes, that would be a use case to kind of know what's the actual status of the project rather than getting like a forensic scheduler or what have you. This is a phenomenal way to track what actually happened and what didn't.
My curiosity, I've never really looked into this. Is there an example of the realized average completion date? Are they hit not through your tech, but just in general? It's a GC. They're building. You've got a situation where there's a completion date that there's a deadline to complete. What is the percentages that's actually happening not only early but on time?
Yeah.
Without technology.
Yeah, so what we are seeing with our software is on average an 11% compression on the schedule the first time we get involved. Now, obviously, because our software has been built to be scalable, customers are deploying us across portfolios. And of course, they now start planning and being predictable and saying, hey, we can get this done much faster. So over the course of time, you want to see that 11% shrink to 0% actually, because you're just planning to be fast. Mm-hmm. You're just predictably planning to be fast. And that's what our software unlocks. And it unlocks that because we're scalable. We're a software-only solution that's not dependent on humans or on people or the skill of people. And customers are deploying us portfolio-wide for that reason, which unlocks all these insights that you can apply to the planning phase, the design phase, win bids for data center developers, plan more predictably so that they can plan for their costs of borrowing, and they can lever themselves perfectly based on where they're at.
Got it. Is there a module or an opportunity for machine learning? So you're taking in a ton of data. The tech is making recommendations. Let's assume that they're taking those recommendations and they're applying them. Is your tech now taking that information and machine learning for the next opportunity to make a quicker decision, to make a more justifiable decision for the next job and the next job within the same client base?
Yeah. So great question. So we've been building deep learning and machine learning for the last 9 years. And the first place, of course, where we've applied it is on fundamentally teaching a computer on how to assess the progress of a construction project, which is an extremely hard thing to do. One, because it was only until recently that we taught computers how to recognize letters in a PDF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know that when we used to have
to
type things. And we've taught computers how to recognize 3D objects. So that's the first thing that we did. The second thing we did was we taught computers how to assign what we call rules of credit. right?
Mm.
That, when the grid lines are laid, this is how much credit it is. When the hangars are laid, this is how much credit it is. And I think that, in general, all of us forget just how profound artificial intelligence is. And, even teaching a computer to recognize these kind of objects is a very, very tough thing to do. So that's the first thing that we've nailed. Now, what we've got is we've got billions of square feet captured where we have very, very detailed, very, very granular sequencing data. How long does chilled water take? How long does hot water take? How long does it take for structural steel? How do things change when the project is this type versus this type? And what we're beginning to do now, like I told you, is we're applying machine learning and deep learning to the next phase, which is planning and design to provide recommendations like the ones I talked about, right? And also to assist folks in bidding and to make sure that they seize on opportunities they can and they say no to risks that they shouldn't be taking on. And all of that's happening because from the get-go, my focus when I founded the company was to build this software in a scalable manner and to not need to have trained folks be involved,
Right.
And that's how you scale it.
Right.
And that's how you get the privilege to build these kind of insights. You got to get the data first.
Absolutely. And mitigating human intervention is key. I agree with especially being a middleware between some type of BIM technology, your technology, and the reality of what's happening. So that's really interesting to see that. Where do you guys see DOXEL taking this technology next year, 2 years out? Explain to the audience, I think, what they need to understand is you're looking at this from a technological standpoint
Sure.
and driven through technology.
Sure.
They're still looking at it, some of them are looking at it from a tradesman standpoint, work very hard. And so where do you see the technology moving in the next couple of years? So if they're not on board today, they at least can understand what that's going to look like 2 years from now.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think that over the course of the next couple of years, every major industry, manufacturing, construction, retail, every major industry is likely going to have a virtual AI assistant for every single employee that works for them, that helps them get tasks done that maybe they don't want to work on, what we call grunt work today, and allows them to fully unlock their creativity and excitement working on things that they love working on. Imagine if no one had to do any grunt work. Imagine how that would uplift humanity overall.
Mm-hmm.
It would be pretty big. We could push the boundaries. So I think over the course of the next year to 3 years, as far as construction is concerned, everyone in the field is going to have an AI assistant. They're going to come in on Monday, they're going to have a sip of coffee, and they're going to say, Siri, what are my most at-risk zones? What should I focus on? Oh, that was actually Siri. What should I focus on this week? She doesn't yet because she doesn't have DOXEL. But this tool's going to say, Zone 5 is running behind schedule. I highly recommend you double crew size on mechanical, because if you don't get that done, you're going to have challenges on the critical path. And how much would doubling the crew size cost? I don't know, $100,000, but it's much better than the $2 million you'll have to pay in liquidated damages,
Right.
which I estimate a 98% chance you'll have to.
Right.
Should I draft up a change order for you? And you're going to say, sounds great. And then you're going to talk to the people on site and tell them what's coming down the tube and that you've changed things and things like that. Or you'll ask your assistant to do that. At the office, when you think about the design and the planning side, the folks who are planning these great schedulers, who are using awesome tools like Oracle P6 or Microsoft Project, they're going to ask, hey, do you think this schedule is realistic? And this assistant's going to say, based on the last 10 projects I've tracked, I estimate only a 82% chance of hitting this schedule because I think you're being too aggressive on this section. I recommend resequencing it and planning to do this first, do this later, and that increases your odds to 96%. And everyone is going to have this kind of an AI agent that has learned how construction is actually built and that's providing recommendations based on the past that help the future. So that's what's going to happen. I have zero doubt that that's going to happen. And I've invested my life, and I'm joined by a lot of great folks on my team who have invested their time and effort to making that future a reality, and that's what we intend to do.
I love it. I sold software. You sell software. Our biggest enemy is IT. They don't have time for the best solutions on the planet. They have to fit in their schedule. Talk to me about the integration, because I do remember you mentioning on the last podcast, because that is extremely important, because that's the first, when folks are looking to say no, not for any other reason, they'll find a reason and they'll blame it on IT. It's too difficult to integrate, the learning curve, all of the stuff that we hear, even though, we can explain to them it's going to improve, night and day compared to what they're doing today. What's your integration look like? What's your back off or your support to support that if I have the technology in the field and something goes wrong? Walk me through that.
Yeah, sure thing. So first things first, one of the things that we've focused on heavily is ensuring that our software can be implemented in just 2 to 3 weeks. And I think if you can't implement that fast, it's very, very hard to build a software business in construction. Why is that? Well, because construction teams come together and disband every year. So if it takes you 3 to 4 months to implement your software, half my job's built by that point. Who cares? So we've really, really focused on having quick implementation. And that happens, one, because we integrate with existing tools. We're an Oracle partner, so we integrate with the P6 schedule. We integrate with Autodesk BIM. We support other schedule and BIM tools as well. But we take the data that people already have. We don't need them to do any extra work. And then we start producing insights and reports on progress, where you're at on schedule, et cetera, production curves, all that stuff in just 3 weeks. And we do that without needing anyone outside your own team to put a foot on site, which is also an impediment to implementation, right? Like, you don't want people on site who are not from your team for safety reasons. Right. So we focus heavily on quick implementation. So that's one. Second is, we've always taken security seriously since the time that we founded the company. And we've always built our software to be incredibly secure. And we're on track this year to become SOC 2 compliant.
Wow, okay.
Which gets us a nice little check the box.
Absolutely.
For the IT teams.
Yeah.
And, just to be clear, we've always maintained our security in that manner. We just feel like our business has scaled to a point where, having an external auditor certify that we are indeed SOC 2 compliant is a great idea.
Right.
And again, because customers are beginning to look at us and deploying us for portfolio deployments, that's becoming more and more important, and it's a maturing of the company.
Right. So Procore, BIM, Autodesk, all standards in the industry. Do you truly see DOXEL being a standard in this space?
I think if you zoom out and you look at, let's zoom out and look at this question in a slightly different way. If you look at construction, the life cycle, there's 3 big phases. There's the planning phase, where you got to plan and budget. There's the design phase, where you're figuring out what goes where, etc. And then there's the construction phase. If you look at the planning phase, the scheduling phase, Oracle dominates that, with Oracle and Microsoft, but largely Oracle. If you look at the design phase, Autodesk dominates that. If you look at the construction phase, Procore dominates that. All 3 of these companies are trying to build, at some point in the future, AI-based agents that can do work for people in the industry. AI agents are only helpful if they know what tends to happen in reality. So our core belief is that the best planning software of the future, the best project management software of the future, and the best design software of the future will have data on what happens in reality, because it will become as powerful as that trusted friend who you ask, do you think that schedule's legit?
That's right.
You think that design's legit? Do you really think so? And DOXEL is what underpins all of that, right? So I don't see a future where DOXEL is not one of those companies, or one of our competitors is not one of those companies.
Right.
But the more the merrier in our industry. I just think that this category of automated progress tracking is foundational to the AI future that we're all entering.
And I think a lot of folks don't realize that it's just, a simple camera talking to technology. Visual technology is right now the future. There's technology that the oil and gas industry just deploys today for detection of hazardous gas and leaks, that they've been using sensing through scent detectors. Mm-hmm. But you get wind, you get variations, you get bad weather, and so you can have a leak and not be detected. But visual camera detection picks up leaks. It's really fascinating. So I completely can see the value on the visual detection of taking that information and distilling that into your software. You can come up with any AI solution that you want, but that visual detection is the key, because it's picking up everything. I mean, it probably in the future can mitigate safety concerns. I mean, you talked about briefly the position of mental health, but what happens when you're walking through and you possibly see, a ladder not positioned properly while you were doing your normal walk? Could that be something that's detected to say, hey, listen, we also are partnering with the safety side of this, sending reports to the safety folks saying, hey, listen, your guys need to do a better job. This bucket was here, this tool was here, and it shouldn't be there. It's putting it in a percentage of higher for safety, and safety incidents will kill, as you know, a job site, and everyone's required now to put a ton of safety managers on site. So do you see also evolving into a safety play?
Yeah. So my general point of view is we can't be great at everything, and what we want to be the world's experts at, and what we believe we are the world's experts in, is automated progress tracking for the purpose of making schedules better, making execution better, and making design better. We don't yet focus on safety, but some of our partners, like our partner Oracle, does use computer vision to detect safety incidents, and we're very excited to see that. It's 100% a use case, and it's happening on construction sites today, and it keeps people safe. I mean, people have this sense like, oh, AI is going to take humans' jobs away, and here you have AI keeping humans safe. So yeah, that's a very exciting future that we're entering, and visual is super important, right? I mean, visual is where you cannot duplicate the feeling you get when you walk a job site.
That's right.
This thing we call gut instinct, like where you have this spine tingling feeling that like it's not going to be delivered on time. You're picking up things visually. You're picking up that the hangers are not done right. You're picking up that the job's untidy, and you're concerned about level of rigor. You're picking up all of this stuff.
Right.
And as we teach computers, as we've taught, to make sense of the world more and more and more, you're going to have more and more advantages to understanding that.
Right. Yep. I could tell you this firsthand. Humans make mistakes. I make a ton of them, but computers don't. I mean, they rarely make mistakes. And so I could see exactly what you're saying. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Tell us this time next year, give us some really audacious goals that you guys are going to crush this time next year. If we're back on this couch, and it may be myself or Kirk or Jesse talking to you, what do you really want to accomplish over another next 12 months?
I think we've become the standard and are quickly becoming the standard on the construction side. And what I'm extremely excited to do is to help planners like the ones I spoke about, who are winning bids on our data, who are planning better on data. I'm super excited to bring the power of artificial intelligence to the planning and the design phase based on all the data that we mine in the construction phase. So I'm super, super excited about that. So that's one goal I have. My second goal is to keep my wife happy while I'm traveling. So this is thankfully the last city that I'm going to be in this month. And those are the two goals: help folks in planning and design, bring the power of AI, and make sure the wife stays happy while I'm.
How about any IPO in the future? Any public conversation?
I would say we're very happy with the investor partners we have. We're backed by probably the top 5, top 6 venture capital and private equity firms in the world, Insight Partners, Andreessen Horowitz, and at this point in time, just the way that the company is performing, frankly, our customers are funding the company because our revenues have grown so quickly. And we're just focused on doing a great job, continuing to provide value for customers. And our belief is if we do that, the share value, the stock value will take care of itself as it has over the course of the last year or two.
Awesome. Well, brother, listen, I'm proud of you. Keep crushing it. I'm excited to continue. I'm really bullish on DOXEL.
Thank you.
So thank you, man. Appreciate it.
This was great, Joe.